Welcome to part 3 of our journey. We've been looking at the 7 habits of highly effective people, a book written by the late leadership guru Stephen R. Covey. We need to get a copy of the book. If you do not have a copy of the book, get a copy of the book. If you do have a copy of the book, go read it. If you have not read it, if you have read it before, read it all over again. It's a book that will really, really be a blessing to your life, as it has been to me and many of you. So I think we are at the point where we're looking at dependence, independence, interdependence. Yes, that's where we are. Good. From the diagram we saw last week, we have looked at what we call the overview of the 7 habits. And then we said that the first 3 habits is all about your personal, transformation. And then that helps you to have private victory. And then the next 3 helps you to have public victory. And then we said the 7th habit is the one that goes around, that has to continue over and over again. So now, from the diagram, the first 3 habits are the habits of personal vision. So it helps you to be able to have personal vision, to have personal transformation, to have private victory. That's one of the first things that those first 3 habits does. The second thing is that it helps you to focus on self-mastery, which is what the private victory is all about, so that you can come into a point in your life where you are able to handle yourself. Because like we said, you can't have public victory if you don't already have private victory. In order for you to be able to have public victory, you must first of all have private victory, and those private victory is what helps you to become independent. And it is until you become independent that you can now become interdependent. So that's very, very important. Now, it also helps you to achieve, like I said, private victory that is required to move from dependent to independent. So those are the first 3. Now, we move on to the next 3. So those are the first 3. Number 1 is be proactive. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Number 3 is put first things first. We saw that last week already. So those are the first 3. And these first 3 gives you private victory, helps you to have mastery, and help you to be able to have a personal vision and personal transformation. Because if you don't have a clear understanding of the 7 habits and be able to work with it, because you are not going to be carrying the slides with you everywhere you go. You're not going to be carrying the books with you everywhere you go. You need the information to be embedded in your spirit and to become a part of your life, so that everywhere you go, you'll be able to manage and adjust yourself from time to time to be able to continue to be effective. Okay. Now, habits 4, 5, and 6 then addresses interdependence. So what is habit 4, 5, and 6? Is think win-win, seek first to understand and then to be understood, and then synergize. So once you are able to have that private victory, you know what it means to be proactive, you know what it means to begin with the end in mind. Once you have that understanding of how to deal with yourself, then you can move to the next level and begin to think win-win. If you don't have private victory, it will be difficult for you to relate with people on a win-win level. Because your level of understanding will be, I win, they lose, I win. You're going to see everything in life as a battle. You're not going to understand the place of compromise. You're not going to understand the place of making sure that you help relationships to succeed and you see the bigger picture. When you have private victory, by the time you come to this level, you will realize that the organization is bigger than an individual. You understand that the vision is bigger than you. So as long as what has been decided is going to help the vision to be fulfilled, you sacrifice your personal desires and your personal stuff to ensure that the vision is fulfilled. Do we understand that? So it's very, very key for us to get all these things in place. So this is the second level. So habit 4, 5, and 6 helps you to be able to get to that level. So let's move on. Then finally, the 7th habit, which is sharpen the saw. Like I said last week, in that diagram, that's the 7th habit that goes around the entire diagram. And it helps us to understand that you will forever need to continue to sharpen the saw. There is never going to be a point where you don't need to develop yourself anymore. The day you stop learning, you start dying. Because in life, we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So as you continue to grow up, you learn that, oh, this is right. Because I said something last week, I think while we're trying to wrap up, about the fact that when a baby is still a baby and needs to get the attention of the parents, what does the baby do? The baby cries. So when a baby is crying, you as the parent, because that baby is in the state of dependence, we rush to go and check whether the baby's diaper is wet, whether the baby is hot, whether the baby is hungry, because that baby is in a place of dependence. But when that baby grows up and moves from dependent to a realm where you think and you believe and you know that they should be independent, like a 15-year-old, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old child can go to the toilet and say, Daddy, come and clean me, Mommy, come and clean me up. But when a 12-year-old child goes to the toilet and say, come and clean me, say, as what? Will a teenager say, Mommy, I finished, come and help me clean my bum bum? So when a child gets to a point where you know that they are supposed to have moved from dependence to independence and they still want to be operating, you have to tell them it's not going to work. But why do they want to continue to operate at that end? Because they have not realized that they are no more at that old level. So in the same vein, there are things you are doing now that is acceptable. But if you don't continue to develop yourself, you will be able to know that you have crossed. And you will still try to do in a new level what is no more acceptable in that new level. I hope you know that when you say you are a manager, manager is not just a title. It comes with responsibility. But there are a lot of people, like I think someone shared that maybe like a few years ago, of someone that got a colleague that got a promotion to be a manager. And then within 2 months of being a manager, she slapped a customer. So she was a manager. She has been promoted. But she does not have the emotional intelligence and the emotional maturity to handle what comes. You know, some people say, I can't take insults from anybody. You will take insults if you are an entrepreneur. It's part of the deal. Hello, because customer is always right. Confused, but right. Ignorant, but right. Sarcastic, but right. So no matter what, customer is always right. You are very stupid. I'm sorry, sir. We're very sorry. You people are just useless people. We're very sorry. We're really very sorry. You can say, excuse me, wait till they buy. Buy your thing just because. You can't do that. Hello. So let's move on. So to be consistently effective in life, one must find the proper balance between actually producing and improving one's capacity to produce. Very, very important. So sharpening that saw means that you are developing yourself. You are developing your capacity. And you come to a point where you can produce faster at a different and one level than you used to produce at a level. Why? Just because you have clarity and you have understanding. So for instance, when you are at a physical, I'm talking physical now, physical level of development, you may not be able to carry this chair. But there's a level of physical development you get to where you can carry this chair. There's another level of physical development you get to where you can carry 5. There's another level of physical development you can get where they can stack 12 of it and you lift it up. Now, it's the same you. But because you have been sharpening your saw, that means you have been growing physically. What you can now undo is bigger, is more. In the same vein, your production also becomes more as you move on. Your ability to manage, your ability to undo things begin to increase. So when we talk about capacity, that's what it's all about. There's a realm where you can undo 1, but by the time they bring 3, you can't undo 3. But there's a realm where you're supposed to undo 55 at the same time. So what happens at that point? So one thing you need to do, especially when we talk about kingdom opportunity, is continue to develop your capacity. Continue to develop yourself. Preparing for the opportunity. So that when the opportunity comes, you'll just be able to plug into it. Because when opportunity comes, opportunity will not give you time to go and prepare. Those that are prepared are those that will be able to maximize the opportunity. So let's move on. Okay, so we'll go to habit 1. So habit one, so we want to begin to look at the habit one by one now. And we'll see how far we can go in the next 3 weeks that we still have. So habit one is be proactive. Be proactive. And that's the habit of personal vision. And we're going to deal with it extensively now. So let's move. So this is the ability to control one's environment rather than having your environment control you. This is the habit of having yourself in a realm where you control your environment instead of your environment controlling you. Be proactive. That's the habit of personal vision. The habit of personal vision. Now, this is the ability to control one's environment rather than having your environment control you. So now you have people that behave in a particular way in one environment, and then when they get to another environment, they behave in a particular way. And that means that there are people that are subject to environmental influence. And don't forget, we're talking of private victory. Hello? Now, when you find yourself in a nightclub, for one reason or the other, does the nightclub affect your behavior? You see, what's the Christian doing in a nightclub? Oh, you can be in a nightclub. Hello? You might be working in a company that gets a job and you're a cameraman. And you have to go and cover the events. You might run a catering company and they say they're having a party in a place and you are giving them food. Are you going to sell food to Christians alone? So you go and serve them food. Hello? You might be a cleaning company that cleans toilets, and that facility where the nightclub is one of the facilities where you clean. So you are not in the nightclub to go to nightclub. You are doing your job. Hello? You might be a security man, a bouncer at the gate. You might be a driver that drove your bus. So let's understand what I'm talking about. So when you now find yourself there, and everybody's smoking and drinking, and they are shaking bomb and doing all kinds of stuff, are you going to say, let me test? Are you going to forget that you're a Christian and forget your value and allow that environment to affect you? Hello? Or are you going to realize that, this job we are going to do, that place I'm going to go to, there's a tendency for this to happen, for that to happen, so let me prepare myself in advance. So as I'm going, I need to go with my Walkman, I need to have my earpiece, so that when I need to, that's being proactive. You are thinking in advance. If you go to this way, this might happen, that might happen, that might happen. It's not that you have, it's just being wise and being intelligent. Hello? That's just the way it works. Just protecting yourself from unnecessary issues. So it is recognizing that I have the freedom and the ability to choose how I respond to whatever happens to me. So being proactive is what? Is you recognizing that that you have the freedom and the ability to choose how you respond to whatever happens to you. Don't tell me, you don't know what happened to me. If you were there, it's not about what happened to you. It's about weren't you matured enough to do the right thing regardless of what happened to you? So your wife slept with somebody. You two will now go and sleep with somebody. And that's supposed to be, do you understand now? Say, she's the first one that had an affair. She slept with somebody. Me too, I'm going to. Two wrongs does not make it right. Proactive. Next, it is more than just taking initiative. So when we talk about being proactive, people say, just take your initiative. You have to be initiative. No, it's more than just taking initiative. It involves the emotional maturity and intelligence to be able to respond rather than react. So being proactive is more than just taking initiative. It's coming to a place of emotional maturity, into a place of emotional intelligence, where instead of reacting, you respond. When you read the Bible, you see a lot of emotional, intelligent boosters. E.g., a soft answer turneth away wrath. That's emotional intelligence. That's emotional intelligence. Now, in the next slide that I have here, I have a bottle of soft drink and I have a bottle of water. Now, if you take a bottle of soda, soft drink, and you shake it, you shake it, what happens to it? But if you take a bottle of water and you shake it, what happens? It remains still. That's emotional intelligence. No matter how much you shake water, peace. But when you see people that just a little shaking, they are exploding, you don't have emotional intelligence. Your emotional maturity is low. The Bible not say if they slap you, turn the other cheek. That's emotional intelligence. What is it saying? Don't react, respond. So being proactive is something that everybody needs to come to that realm. So it's not just taking initiative. It's having emotional intelligence. It's responding instead of reacting. It's hearing all the sides of the story. It's realizing that there is your side, my side, and the other side. You remember the W, the M, the E. It's just understand that, look, there are many dimensions. Because many times, you can be blinded by pain and blinded by what you are going through, that you are not matured enough to consider every angle. And let's take, for instance, what happened this week that I'm personally not happy about. And we're discussing, even on the way to church, I was saying, it's just amazing that people just lose their life like that and all those stuff. It's a tragedy. We're discussing it on the way to church. And we say, okay, they marked some building for demolition. And then my wife said, hey, but they marked it for demolition in the days of Ashola. Why didn't they pull it this one? Now they may not pull it down. I said, look, baby, there are many dimensions to this thing. You don't have a property there. That's why you can talk like that. Hello? So I said, let me give you an example. I say, if you are as an entrepreneur, there is a building there that you have paid 10 years to the landlord, and you have just used 1 year. It remains 9 years. I said, because yes, it's a tragedy, but when we are talking tragedy, we have to be holistic in everything. I said, that's why being a leader is not about emotion. You that are thinking from the emotional aspect, hey, they should put down the 100 building. What if that building has been existing for 60 years and the entire lineage or the entire family, that's the only thing they have? I say, so if a government is trying to pull it down, so if they pull it down now and the landlord say, my sister, you have paid me 10 years, but they are pulling down the building, your 10 years is gone. How many, and maybe you borrowed money from bank at 24% to pay him that 10 years. I say, are you seeing the ripple effect? I say, so it's more than just pulling down a house. There are chain reaction that can lead to more deaths than the death of the collapse that we don't yet understand. And so if they say they want to pull it down, first of all, what is the compensation? Because I say in order to climb, if they are doing reurbanization, the government is the one that will even come and tell them, we don't like the way these places are. They are too ugly for our reurbanization. We want to move all of you. Your building is costing $100,000. We are giving you $300,000. Bye-bye. I say, but here now, do you think the government... So are you seeing what I'm saying now? So the ability to think the way I'm thinking. Hello? Now, let me go deeper. The ability to think the way I'm thinking, even if you lost a child in that building. That's what we're talking about. Putting your personal pain aside. Not reacting. No. You have lost a child. But it doesn't still mean that a wrong step should be taken. I'm not saying the pulling that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you want to go far and really be able to handle things, you must come into a place where you are very, very objective. You are able to put your pain and step out of the situation and look at things in an objective way that will actually solve the problem, not just reacting to issues. Hello? Now listen. Proactive people recognize that they are responsible. Responsible. Now the word responsible means you have the ability to respond well. Responsible is actually a combination of 3 words. Response, able, and then I. So if you look at it, there is I there. So response and able, but there's also a I. So responsibility means I have the ability to respond accurately at all times to whatever I face. I have the ability to respond accurately at all times to whatever I face. So part of being proactive is recognizing that you are actually responsible for everything. Nobody else is responsible. You are. So learn to take responsibility. Now, people that are proactive take responsibility. They don't blame their genetics. Hello? No, it's because of the way I was kid. That's the way it runs in our family. Oh. If you are matured enough to know that that's the way it runs in your family, you are matured enough to stop it and change your story. For you to be intelligent, matured, and advanced enough to know that, this is an evil pattern, then you must be matured enough to also deal with the pattern so that you will not be a candidate of the pattern. Are you getting that now? But people don't feel that way. That's the way even my father, even my grandfather, even my grandmother, you can't blame me. I can't blame you. They don't blame their circumstances. Like we have in Nigeria. People come late, and when you ask them, traffic. They come late and say, it's raining. We have only 2 seasons, rainy season, dry season. Everybody knows there is traffic. It's no more an excuse. It's a responsibility. Using traffic or rain to perpetuate your habit of late coming that is part of you, it's a responsibility. And that's why when you hear things like African time, Nigerian time, you see how that we have entered into what we call a group think, where we have entered into collective irresponsibility. And we even want to create an irresponsible time for ourselves and expect the world to move with that. Some people will tell you, it's because of the condition, all the things I've gone through. So, make sure that in being proactive, you don't blame other things for whatever you go through. You come into a place of maturity where you do what needs to be done when it's supposed to be done. Now, reactive people, on the other hand, are often affected by their physical environment. So people that are proactive, that respond, they don't blame the environment. But people that are reactive, they always blame the environment. They find external sources to blame for their behavior. It's always somebody's fault. It's always somebody's fault. It's always somebody's fault. I had someone that was working with me that I had to let go some time ago. And one of the major aspects of his deficiency is he does not take responsibility. He does not take responsibility. When anything goes wrong, I told them, in fact, I told him, I said, you are all together. Stop being in my presence saying somebody is bad. You told him. So I should deal with him. It's you that I sent to go and meet him. You are the one that, even if you are the one to ensure it is done, you are part of a team. You always separate yourself. I say you are not right, my brother. You are all part of one team. You are supposed to work together as a team. So if one person has failed, all of you has failed. But many times we don't realize that. If in your office, the management comes up with a new policy, that if one staff misbehave, 5,000 naira will be deducted from every staff. What happens? You will become your brother's keeper. You will be what? You will become your brother's keeper. So why do we want to be selfish to be right? The CEO called the management meeting and called all the staff together and said, we are going through financial crisis right now and we need to make a tough decision. But we have decided to give you guys the opportunity to help us in our decision making. So these are the options we have. Option 1, we need to shut down or cut down our expenses by 25%. And in order to achieve that, we have come up with 2 possibilities. Number 1, sack 25% of our staff. Option 2, reduce everybody's salary by 25%. So, we're going to be giving you guys 30 minutes to decide. And we'll be back in 30 minutes, whatever you decide. So, the management walked out and left them there. What do you think they would choose? Reducing the salary. Why? Because nobody wants to. You don't know whether you'll be part of those that will go. Now, if the management has come and said, You know what, we have to reduce everybody's salary by 25%. There will be battle. What do you mean? That's not the agreement. I just, you see, when people operate, I laugh. I laugh. Because many times when you are not the one wearing the shoe, you don't understand where it is. They all came and said to reduce our salary by 25%, and they accepted 25% reduction with joy. With joy. Why? Hello? Because you are not the one paying the salary. Something happened early this year. In fact, I had to send the email to Pastor Abraham, send it to people to say, this is very rare that God will give us this kind of people. We have one of our pastors that is undergoing training and stuff now, and then we needed to send him to go to one of the branches for 6 months. And then when we looked at it, we said, okay, since it's going to be like traveling like 3 times a week to the branch and all the stuff, so we looked at how much it would cost, and we came to the conclusion, based on the investigation that was done, that about 30,000 per month will be transportation, fueling, everything. So it was approved. 6 weeks later, after going there for 6 weeks, the guy sent an email and said, sir, this is just to officially inform you that I have monitored the process. And in the last 6 weeks, I have discovered that the 30,000 is actually too much. That with 20K, it can be done. See, I've been monitoring it, even with traffic. So this to let you know that from March, they should not give me 30,000 anymore. I forwarded it to Pastor Abraham. Pastor Abraham, it's really you. This is powerful. We have people like this in this world. God is helping us. So, amen. Because the 30K has been approved. Hello? You see, when God is lifting people, you don't know why. God sees the heart of people and they go and prepare a position for them on earth. Somebody else will come and say, traffic in LA, if that 30K is not enough. So, they find external sources to blame for their behavior. They give all kinds of excuses instead of taking responsibility. So, you are not supposed to operate like that. So, like I said, responsibility is the ability to respond. Okay. Still talking about being proactive. Your language is a good indicator of how you see yourself. So proactive people and reactive people have different languages. So reactive people use reactive language. I can't. And if only. So you know that what they're saying is, I'm not ready to take responsibility except other people make adjustment. Me, I can't. If only, they don't want to do what they can do. But a proactive person will say, I can, I will. I'll work towards it. I'll prefer. Their languages even reveals them. So how do you become more proactive? How do you become more proactive? Number one, for you to become more proactive, you need to understand the proactive model. And we're going to show you that. You need to understand the proactive model. What's the proactive model? The proactive model is just to let you know that you have the ability to choose. Hello? Now, when I look at you now, please stand up. And I slap you. Between the time I slap you and the time you slap back or decide not to slap back, there's a space. That space is the proactive model. It means that no matter what happens to you, you still have time to decide whether to react or to respond. Not that papa, that fast one, papa, before my hand go back, don't enter, pa. Why? Because the gap is so slow. You understand? Pa, pa. It's like there is nothing in them that says somebody can slap you and you should not slap back. So when it continues like that, you will now get married. God bless you. And then the wife will say, hey, are you a man? Before he's finished, pa, 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 pa. Don't deal with the babe. Slap sense into her. Hello? Why? The next thing, I'm sorry, baby, I love you. No, it's those attitude. You have grown with it that you didn't even know when you became something else. Number 2 is you need to understand the cycle or circle of concern versus the circle of influence. And what that means is you can't control everything. So these are the 2 things that will help you to be proactive. Number 1 is the proactive model, understanding it. What's the proactive model? I have the freedom to choose. Nobody can tell me I have the freedom to choose. Secondly is what? Understanding the circle of concern versus the circle of influence. What does that mean? I can't control everything. I can only control what is under my control. Once you understand that, it helps you. That's why when you see some people that are supposed to worry and they are not worrying, it's maturity. You read your Bible, you say if you worry from today to tomorrow, in what way does it change anything? Which of you by worrying can add a cubit to your stature? You don't worry. Even worry rejects you. So, the proactive model, the picture shows how that there are things that comes against you, but you have the freedom to choose. So, when those stimuluses and those attacks and those pressures come, you have the freedom to choose whether you want to react or respond. And the ability to be able to do that is because you know that you have self-awareness, you have been able to understand your imagination, you have a conscience, you know you have an independent will, all those things. That's why, how can you slap a woman? It doesn't just make sense. Yes, she slapped me. So? She slapped you, just see that she's a confused person. She slapped you, see that she has mental problem and needs help. See it from the other side. He slapped here, she slapped me, I slapped back. You are a man. Hello? Someone called me yesterday. I said, listen. I said, but you know that you are older than him. I said, see it as a young man being a young man. You are an elder being an elder. So just see it that way. Because from what you told me now, you told me that he told you that you don't know the pressure he's under. I said, so he's already introducing himself to you as a man under pressure. So he already told you in advance. You don't know the pressure I'm under. He said it to you. You are telling me I was not there. So if he has already told you he's under pressure, see it as a man under pressure talking. When he comes out of the pressure, he will not be so. He is not himself. He is a man under pressure. That's because you don't know whether he's having marital problem when you are calling. You don't know whether his wife just insulted him. You don't know whether there is a bill he's supposed to pay that he couldn't pay. You don't know what he's going through. So just, that's the way he works. That's why I tell people, don't fight anybody on telephone. Don't fight people with telephone. Look at the text. You are reading meaning to text, looking at the command, looking at the... You just die. Frustrate yourself for nothing. See the way this text went, there's no emotion inside. You see you have time. Oh. Then the cycle of concern shows that there are some things that can be of concern to you, but you don't have influence over them. So there's a cycle of concern, there's a cycle of influence. So being proactive, how do you become proactive? You become proactive by knowing that, this thing concerns me, but I don't have influence over it. Building has collapsed. It concerns me, but I'm not in government. What can I do? Pray. I've done my part. Hello? And then advocate where we can. But I'm not the one that will decide what will be done. I'm not a doctor to decide whether hospital bills should be paid. I'm not. So you need to understand that in this world, though, there are some things that will be of concern to you, but they are not under your influence. So that you will not be wasting your time and killing yourself with worry. So focus on things you can change instead of things you cannot change. Focus on things you can change instead of things you cannot change. So what are the things that you cannot change? Number one, you can't change other people. So if somebody have decided to be wicked, don't become wicked because somebody is wicked. If somebody have decided to be stupid, don't become stupid because somebody is stupid. The Bible says even a fool, when he's quiet, is said to be wise. A foolish man, when he keep quiet, is said to be wise. So don't join people in their mud. Say, I will give him a piece of my mind, a piece of my mind. You have been given a piece of your mind for the past 5 years. Now you have no mind. You have lost your mind. Because your peace is the mind. So even you yourself, you have lost your mind and you see yourself fighting as bus stop. And then you come to church, carry, let's rise up on our feet for prayer. As we go into this prayer session, say, prayer session. Prayer session. I need days of social media, may God help you. Number 2, you cannot control the weather. You can't control the weather. So you don't have control over that. Number 3, you cannot control the things you did wrong in the past. So you used to be a prostitute, yes, but I'm born again now, I'm a child of God. So if you refuse to see me in the new light, that's your business. I will not judge myself, look down on myself, belittle myself because you have problem letting go of my past. You also have a past. That's your business. So I can't do anything about my past. All the things I've done wrong in the past, I can't do anything about it. All I can do is to tell you, I used to be wrong, now I'm right. If you are wrong, you can also be right. That's all. Because people can hold you down to your yesterday. They don't ever believe that you have changed. Stop wasting time around people that don't believe in you. It's a useless venture. Go to where you are celebrated. Hello? It takes 7 times more energy to convince a skeptic than to get a fresh convert. So instead of trying to convince people that you are good, let them believe their opinion. Let them say, that's your opinion. Go and get 7 fresh people that will believe you and champion your cause. Amen? Number 4, you cannot control how other people treat you. People can treat you anyhow they like. But you are the one that will determine how you will respond or what you allow. So if people are treating you anyhow, you leave them and move on with your life. Me, I hate dishonor. So if you have chosen to be a dishonorable vessel, no problem. Those who honor me, I will honor. So I'll find my level. Why? Cast not your pearls before swines. Simple. So if you choose that, so you can't decide how people treat you. You know what I mean? You don't ever talk to me like that. You don't, as you are doing that, somebody is seeing you, they say you are proud and arrogant. They don't know what happened. Hello? Why? Because you are trying to convince the person on how to treat you. You can't treat me that way. You can't treat, the way you are talking, people are seeing you. They are now concluding about you, even though you are, because you are reacting instead of responding. Another thing you cannot control is homework. Hello? You can't control what? Homework. That's why it's called homework or assignments. Do you know the assignments the lecturer is going to give you? No. Do you know the homework the lecturer is going to give you? No. Do you know the next task that your boss is going to give you? No. I hope you know that I can decide to give you assignment now and say submit next Sunday. It was not part of the plan. I can just decide down. Hello? You can't control that. But you know what? Which one is this one again? They didn't tell us this one. You are immature. They didn't tell you, but now they have told you. It was not part of the plan. Now it has become part of the plan. What do we do? How do we move on? Or else, you will always be a pessimist, an attacker, a confusionist. You know, you will always be an alluter, continual person. What are the things you can control? We'll close with that. We'll do a bit too next week. Number 1, you can control your attitude. You can control that. You can. Somebody is insulting you. That's their level. You can let them air their view. When they finish venting, you now begin to layer by layer bring them back to sanity. And then before you know it, oh, I'm sorry, oh, forgot about what I said, and case is closed. Number 2, your mood. Your mood. You have the ability to control that. Don't tell me I'm just moody. I'm not in a good mood. You're not in a good mood and you get an alert of 200,000. Mood change. So, which mood? So you can control the mood. So don't tell me I have a bad mood. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm going through. Hello? When the plane crashed in those days and they were giving people, is it 15 million or how much they were giving them? Mood change. 15 million, even when the man was alive. He has never given me 100,000 before. He's been suffered marriage. 15 million. Lord, keep him safe. This is enough for me and the children to take care of ourselves. God forbid bad thing. Number 3, your reaction to good and bad things that happen to you. You can control that. You can control your reaction to the good and the bad things that happen to you. So when good things happen, you can control your reaction. When bad things happen, you can control your reaction. And finally, you can control how you treat others. You can control how you treat others. So don't go about making people think or feel that you are helpless. I just couldn't control it. No. It's a sign of immaturity. It's a sign of what? Immaturity. It shows that you still have a long way to go. And if we are going to take over in our world and rule our world, if we are going to be kingdom ambassadors and take charge, many of this childish stuff have to be eliminated from our life. We have to grow up, we have to mature, and become men and women that God can trust, so that He can entrust to us great responsibilities. Because if you have problem handling yourself, how can I give you a wife? How can I give you a husband? If two of you have problem taking care of yourself as husband and wife, you claim to love yourself, you started a marriage, how can I bring children into that equation? If I've given you 1, 2, 3 children and you are complaining, how can I give you a business where you're going to be a CEO over 30 people? If you have just a small shop and you have 3 people that are apprentices under you, and you cannot handle them and mentor them and handle them and support them, how will I help you to have a group of businesses with 300 staff? If you have just 12 members and you are frustrated, how can I give you 12,000 members? So most of the things you are pursuing, you are the one delaying yourself. You are waiting for God to give you a breakthrough. God is waiting for you to grow enough so that the breakthrough will not lead to your breakdown. Let us pray.